Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and today we have for you guys a Game Week 31 wildcard video. So I am going to caveat by saying that I'm recording this before the FA Cup games. So what that means is that I'm assuming that City, Liverpool and Chelsea go through, right? There's a very high chance that that does happen, and by the time you're watching this, probably you will already know whether the favourites have won. And that means that all the content in this video would be relevant. But if an upset does happen, then I'm sure you guys would be able to filter and sieve out the relevant content to draft your wildcard team. So nevertheless, I do hope you guys enjoy this video. Give it a like if you do enjoy it, and subscribe if you are new around here so that we can hit our season target of 1,000 subscribers. It'd be awesome if we can get there, but for now, let's get on with the video. So as with all my videos, when I frame either free hit teams or wildcard teams, I like to set the context, right? So what we know right now, and what I'm assuming, right, is that Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City all go through to the next round of the FA Cup. And what that would mean is that in Game Week 31, Burnley and Everton have a confirmed double game week, and in Game Week 33, there will be 3 teams that blank: Leeds, Wolves and Aston Villa. And then there will be 7 teams that double, so Leicester, Newcastle, Burnley, United, Southampton, Arsenal and Brighton. So all these 7 teams would double, and I've kind of picked out the better double game week fixtures, and also the team that probably has the worst one. So Brighton probably has one of the worst double game weeks out of these 7 teams, right? So Tottenham and Man City both away. So looking at the other graphic as well as for the number of games to reschedule, I felt like this would be quite useful because it is important if we are wildcarding in Game Week 31 to kind of know what future game weeks may look like, right? So Game Week 34 will probably be a single game week. Game Week 35 also seems like it will be a single game week. So what this means is that under the games to reschedule graphic, the more games these teams have, the more likely they are to double in Game Week Game Week 36 and 37. Right, so if we take a look at the whole list we have there, Chelsea, Everton, Aston Villa and Leicester will all have 2 more games to reschedule, and Crystal Palace, Watford, Liverpool, Arsenal, Burnley, City, Norwich, Leeds, Tottenham and Wolves will all have 1 game to reschedule. Right, so most of these games would be rescheduled into the Game Week 36 block, which would give most of these teams a double game week there, right? So, and if that double game week isn't enough, then probably their games would be rescheduled into Game Week 37 as well. So I think this kind of gives us a bit of context as to which teams to target, which teams we should prioritize, maybe Burnley and Everton closer to the start of this Game Week 31 wildcard draft. But as we move forward, our team also needs to be flexible enough so that we can kind of target the teams that have more games to reschedule later on in the season. Right, so hopefully this kind of gives us a good framework, and then let's get on with the next graphic that I have for you guys, which should be quite useful as well to kind of frame our wildcard team. Alright guys, so on the screen right now is a graphic that I've come up with to kind of help us in crafting our wildcard team. Right, so because there's so many teams to account for, so many teams that may double, so many teams that already would double, those that we know in Game Week 31 and 33, and also those who could double later on in maybe 36 and 37. And also there are teams who don't really have good doubles, but they have a very good fixture run, right? So there's so many things to consider. So I've come up with this table to kind of put it all together, right? So going from the top, right, in order of importance, because we are wildcarding in Game Week 31, it makes sense for the double Game Week 31 teams to kind of take precedence, right? And then thereafter, those with a good double Game Week 33 would also be highly considered as well. And then moving on after that is those with good games to reschedule, right? Those that would probably have a double in Game Week 36 and 37 possibly as well, right? And then lastly, those with a good fixture run, maybe they don't have good double game weeks coming up, or they don't have any double game weeks coming up, but they do have a good fixture run and they're a good team, and that's why we should target them as well, right? So if you look, I've kind of ranked the teams in terms of priority, right? How we should target them and in which order, right? So I've put Burnley and Everton at the top because obviously they have a double game week in Game Week 31, and it will make sense for us to kind of have a few double game week 31 players if we are already wildcarding in game week 31, right? And thereafter, there are a few teams that are pretty good down the list as well. If we take a look at Leicester, they have a very good double game week 33 fixture, and then they also have good games to reschedule, easier games as compared to the other teams, and then they also have a good fixture run, right? So Leicester is also a team we want to target. And then if we look at Arsenal, they have a good double game week 33 fixture, and also they have a good fixture run. They're also in very good form as well, right? Apart from losing to Liverpool recently, but before that, they have been on really good form, and it seems like apart from the bigger teams that they would struggle against, I think with better fixtures coming up for them, with easier teams, it seems like Arsenal would be a good team to target, right? And then if you look at Newcastle, Southampton, and Manchester United, they're solely there just because they have a double game week 33 fixture, right? Apart from that, they don't really have a very good fixture run. They don't have very good games to reschedule as well. So I guess assets from these teams could probably be just a few, maybe just one from each team, right? And then if we take a look further down the list, Chelsea, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, they all have good games to reschedule and a very good run of fixtures, right? Crystal Palace is a team that I was pretty surprised when I kind of did the research for this, and it surprised me how good their fixtures are, right? So Conor Gallagher is someone that I would want for this draft as well. Just a little bit of a spoiler, but if we go further down the list, we have Watford and Villa, who do have good games to reschedule, but apart from that, the other factors that we are considering, they don't really have they don't really rank very highly. So probably so that's why they're further down the list, right? And then if we look at City and Tottenham, they don't have a lot of good games to reschedule. Because even though in the previous graphic they do have double game weeks to reschedule, but they don't have good ones, right? That's why I've labeled good games to reschedule, because we want to target teams with really good games to reschedule, because we only have 15 players to choose from, right? And we're going to want to maximize how easy it is for our teams to match up against easier teams, right? So I would say that City and Tottenham, even though they do have like one game to reschedule each, if I'm not wrong, that probably, I wouldn't classify those as good games to reschedule. So I would only classify them as teams with good fixture runs, right? City and Tottenham really do have good fixture runs, and also they are in pretty good form as well, right? So we should target them as well. But because we only have 15 slots in our team, and players from these teams like City and Tottenham, they take up value, so it will make sense for us to target the double game week 31 and 33 fixtures first before we find routes to City or Tottenham assets later on, right? So let's move on to the draft. Alright guys, so this is the draft I've come up with for game week 31 after considering all these factors, right? So if we take a look at the draft, we have 3 double game week players. We have Pope, Weghorst, and Calvert-Lewin. So I'm just gonna get straight into this draft, right, and explain to you why I've kind of gone with this combination of players, right? So I've gone with Nick Pope at the back because Burnley do have a good run of fixtures coming up, and even though this double game week seems like a pretty difficult one for them because they do have Man City at home before they play Everton at home, but Pope has been known to get a lot of save points, right? And City is definitely going to have a lot of shots on target, and Pope generally gets a lot of saves for the shots that are taken at him, right? So I do expect some save points for him against Man City, and that means that he would, he doesn't need to keep a clean sheet to get a decent number of points. And then against Everton, every chance he keeps a clean sheet as well, right? So that's why I've gone for Pope, and also long term, I think he is a good option, right? And then in our back line, we've gone for Robertson, James, White, Cancello, and Livramento, right? So I've gone for Robertson, of course, because we know that Trent now has a hamstring injury, which seems like he would be out for a pretty long time, right? At least a couple of weeks. And what that means is that we no longer have that permanent Trent position at the back, and that frees up a couple of options as well for us. But definitely we still do want a Liverpool defender, and Robertson is really an awesome replacement for Trent, right? Definitely when Trent comes back, we may want to factor in bringing Trent back in, but whether it is worth to do this sideways move to swap Robertson for Trent, we can only wait to find out, right? But I would say that for now, if we are wildcarding in Game Week 31, then Robertson would have to be the Liverpool defender that we go for. And then I've gone for James because it seems like James could be back in time for Game Week 31. Of course, if he isn't back in time, then of course don't put him in your drafts, right? But he is playing for Chelsea, and as we know, Chelsea does have a really good run of fixtures coming up, a good couple of doubles as well that would be rescheduled either in Game Week 36 or 37, right? So James is definitely someone we would want. We already know his attacking potential from his game against Burnley, right? So definitely James makes the team. And then we have White, right? So Ben White is probably one of the more nailed Arsenal defenders, and Arsenal have been pretty good of late, I have to say, right? Defensively, they look sound as well. So Ben White is pretty cheap, 4.5 mil around there, and what that means is he frees up funds for us. So he's kind of an enabler, but at the same time a really kind of a first team player that we want to start every game as well. So really good option there. And then we have Cancello, because if we don't have Cancello, it seems like we're shooting ourselves in the foot, right? His ownership is going to shoot up again after game week 30, because City do have a good run of fixtures coming up. And even though their game to reschedule, which is only one, right, it's a difficult game to reschedule, it's against Wolves, but still a double game week for City always brings potential for big hauls, right, for City players, because if City as predicted wipes out their opponents as usual, maybe like a 2-0, 3-0 kind of scoreline, then defenders and attackers will always benefit if you're City, right? So definitely we have to go for Cancello for some Man City coverage, so that's why he makes the team. And then if we take a look, we also do have Livramento, and Livramento is a good option to have because he's not only cheap, but also Southampton double in Game Week 33, right? So that gives us a bit of coverage there as well. Alright, then if we take a look in the midfield, we actually have Salah, Saka, and then we also have Barnes, Fraser, and Gallagher, but they're on the bench, right? So I'll talk about them all together. Salah, for now, it seems as if his foot injury is still causing him a little bit of problems, but he should be fine after the international break, which means that in Game Week 31, he would have a fixture against Watford, and that is probably a serious contender for captaincy as well, as compared to maybe Weghorst or Calvert-Lewin with double game weeks, right? But we will get into captaincy later on, right? So Salah makes the team. If he's fit, of course, right? If he's not fit, then of course you guys should not include him in your draft. Maybe that would free up some funds for other areas as well, right? So then after that, we've gone for Saka. As we know, Arsenal also double in Game Week 33, so definitely we would want Saka in our team as well. One of the key attackers for Arsenal right now, looking really sharp. And another alternative we can go for if we don't have enough funds, maybe we can downgrade Saka to Martinelli, but I would say that Saka is really important to have right now. So probably Saka over Martinelli if we have the funds, right? And then after that, if we take a look on the bench, the other three midfielders, Barnes, Fraser, and Gallagher. So Leicester is a team that I've mentioned just now that have really good fixtures. They have a good double game week in Game Week 33. They have good fixtures coming up in Game Week 36 and 37, and also even their single game weeks are pretty good, right? Except for this game week where Barnes, as we can see, plays Manchester United, right? But apart from that, they do have really good runs, so that's why Barnes will just stay on the bench for now, just for this game week, right? And then we look at Fraser. He's only in the team just because Newcastle have a pretty good double game week in 33, so we're gonna keep him for that. And then as for Gallagher, we're going to keep him because, as I've said just now, Crystal Palace is one of the teams that have really good run of fixtures coming up, and their double in Game Week 36 is really, really great. So for some Crystal Palace coverage, it will make sense for us to have Gallagher, who's looking really good of late as well. And I think earlier on in the season, there was a period of time where we kind of took him out of our teams, and that's where he really shone as well, right? And that's kind of the reasons why we actually do have to have Gallagher, because he's one of those players that even though he does have his dry spells, he eventually does have his moments, right? And sometimes he can get those 15, 16 point hauls, and that will kind of really give us a good differential in Gallagher, right? So that's why he makes the team. And then if we talk about our attackers, right, the three attackers, I've gone for Weghorst, Kane, and Calvert-Lewin. I think this kind of sets itself if you are wildcarding in Game Week 31, right? Because Weghorst and Calvert-Lewin, they have double game weeks, though not great, But if you're wildcarding in 31, then it will make sense to have these two players first and then later have options to swap them out for later on, right? And then Kane, I think, is a little bit of a no-brainer. He is probably a must-have right now, I would actually say, because not only are Tottenham's fixtures really good, but he is in great form, right? Kane looks really sharp. I think he started off the season really poorly, I would say, according to his standards, but he's slowly picked himself up, and under Conte, he's just been getting better and better. And in terms of Spurs attackers, he is probably the best to have right now, right? So he will make the team. Also for us to take advantage of Spurs, who do have a very good run of fixtures coming up as well. So the only player I haven't talked about is our second keeper, right? And that's Ramsdale. So I would say that if we can't afford Ramsdale, we can go for a cheaper keeper because we already have Ben White. But I've gone for Ramsdale because Arsenal not only have a good double game week 33 fixture, but later on in the season they also have good fixtures rescheduled, also do have a good run of fixtures in their single game weeks as well, right? So he is a very good alternative, and I would say that sometimes if we do feel like Arsenal would play better than Burnley based on their fixtures, we can of course start Ramsdale, right? So currently what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fast forward to game week 33. And as you can see, this is actually a bench boostable team, right? So if we take a look at the back, we have Nick Pope, right? He doubles. And also, if we consider all the defenders, something to take note is that at the start of this video, I've said that I've assumed City, Chelsea and Liverpool all go through to the next round of the FA Cup, right? But what that would mean is that Robertson, James and Cancello wouldn't double. But whether or not they double, they are teams from really good teams, right? Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City, right? So definitely we are going to count on them playing well as well, right? So apart from that, we have Ben White and Livramento who both double, right? And then if we take a look in the midfield, so I'm going to consider all the midfielders, right? Saka, Salah, Barnes, Fraser and Gallagher. They all have really good fixtures, and something to note as well is that Salah would probably not double because, as I've said, we're assuming Liverpool go through to the next round, right? And then up front, once again, Weghorst doubles. Kane has a pretty okay fixture against Brighton, which they just played them pretty recently as well and kind of swept them away. So this time they play Brighton at home, so hopefully they can repeat that as well. And then we have Calvert-Lewin who plays Leicester, right? And then if we take a look at the secondary keeper that we have, the second keeper, there's Ramsdale who also doubles, right? So on the whole, if we take a look, this is actually a bench boostable team, right? So if we actually want to bench boost in 33, this is a possible team. And bear in mind that no changes have been made yet, right? So if we actually want to have a team with, as many as maybe 12 to 13 doubles is totally possible, right? If we make a couple of transfers. So game week 33 seems like you're set up pretty nicely as well. Even if you don't want to double, even if you don't want to bench boost, I think setting up for this team for game week 33, it will be pretty easy as well because you do have quite a number of doubles. Even though the City, Liverpool and Chelsea players would probably not double, you can consider not playing them and playing those that double instead, right? Fraser and Barnes are on the bench as well. So it seems like game week 33 is pretty well set up for this team also. So currently, of course, this is still the first draft, right? This is still early days, and I'm releasing this slightly earlier so that we can kind of have a good template to start with to kind of tinker and just have some ideas of the teams that we need to consider when we are building our wildcard in game week 31. Right, so hopefully this video was useful for you guys. If you did enjoy this video, help me out and give it a like. Subscribe if you enjoy the video. So that we can hit our target of 1,000 subscribers before the end of the season. It will be great if we can get there. But for now, that's all for this video. I hope it was useful, and I will see you guys in another one really soon. Bye bye.